internal conflict, societal expectations, psychological healing, cultural identity, dignity, and empowerment in community unity. This is based on the maturation process that came up with when it comes to understanding tolerance, temperament, confidence, in respect. This is also associated with the trans theoretical model, pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and then some would say relapse. In this, there is 6 dimensions that I have as a model that I utilize. One is identity integrity. And what do I mean by identity integrity? Is understanding of self-worth and self-image. Because remember, perception is not necessarily reality, but it's on its way to reality. What you think is so, it ain't necessarily what? It ain't necessarily so. Yeah. The next dimension, 2, is emotional structure. We have to learn to structure our what? Our emotions. Because we know that the key to sobriety is being able to manage your what? Emotions. And the 3 stages of relapse is what?
Mental, physical, and emotional.
That's right, emotional, mental, and physical. Now, we also know that everybody have need of self-expression. The clothes that you wear, the cars that you drive, and the people that you interact with. But in that expression, we want to be able to regulate our emotions because we have come to learn to know if you're unable to control your desires, somebody's going to control them for you. Right. Make sense?
Yeah.
Then we also want to deal with grief, regret, anger, and guardedness and frustration. Remember, Dr. Winkler alluded earlier about in obtaining peace. I can't say what he says about, sometimes we can be so isolated that the things that we want, that we're unable to attain the things that we need. Just by, maybe putting up these barriers in the way that is preventing us from moving forward. That's why it's always good, when a person gets let out of the penal system, you should not let them in the same environment that got them, to put in the penal system from the jump street. You know what I'm saying? That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So yeah, and remember, I always conclude that an unfulfilled expectation leads to frustration. I repeat, an unfulfilled expectation leads to frustration, and behind that, to me, is a spirit of deception. But we all get frustrated. Some of us get frustrated. I don't know, I want to say all, but I know I get frustrated at times. Yes. And then we want to deal with another dimension. That second dimension was emotional structure. The first dimension was identity integrity. And the next dimension was cognitive willingness, which means openness to instruction and learning. Huh? You want to be open. When the sun hits a bud, the bud winds up what? Opening up. Don't it, man? Ain't that something? That's a good stuff. Yeah. So we want to be open-minded. Open up. Open up. Open up and share. Huh? Don't keep things bottled up in your share. Because when you share, people who have the expertise and experience, what have you, they can help you whatever it is that you're possibly going through. Yes, openness to instruction and learning. There is a saying. Someone asked a very common question about the. I forgot the question, but he said that the hardest person to teach is the one thing he or she already knows, and he or she is contradicting that which is being taught to him. Ain't that something? So one thing that person lacks is humility. Yep, humility. Who has the monopoly on intelligence? Let me know. So yes, that's really that's called falsehood when you sell the people short and cheap. Then we deal with the assessment focus on this one is rationalization, idealism, stubbornness versus open-mindedness. We always, not always, but some of us like to rationalize why we do and justify why we do what we do. Even if it's what? Wrong. We say, I can do it, I'm going to do it, because I can. It's like when someone is very vulnerable, it's not required upon you to take advantage of someone's vulnerability. That makes sense? But we can be vulnerable when somebody take advantage of our vulnerability, and we will hold that against us. Let me tell you something. While I know at the same time, you should develop enough emotional structure, if I use, to be able to defend and protect who? Yourself. Yourself. Because if you keep allowing, like a bully gonna keep beating you up until you up. Until you come back at him. Because you only can take for what? So much. You only can take for so much. So much. So rationalization, idealism. Is there a perfect what I want to say? I'm losing my train of thought. But we wait for the ideal situation. Come on, man. You got the best way I've learned to predict your future, as they say, is you got to create it. What is the ideal situation? You know, just go in and what? As Nike say, just what?
Do it.
Let's do it. Les Brown says, how do you expect to get it if you don't go for it? So you just got to what? Go for it. I know if I see a pretty little woman, I'm going to go for it. You know what I'm saying? The challenge is that a lot of times your person can have a hard time with rejection. You know? We're going to get rejected. I think that there is physical rejection or mental dejection, one of the two. But we're dealing with those things, right? And then we become very stubborn too. We become very stubborn in this cognitive willing dimension. Very stubborn, you know. We can be stubborn like a mule. You know, a pig is stubborn too. You know, everybody can be very, very stubborn, man. You know, we just want to do things the way we want to do it, you know. And somebody trying to help you, but you still want to do it the way that you want to do it. You want to be stubborn. That's okay, you know. When you're ready, he said, when you're ready to teach you what? What appear. Yeah. Ready, be ready. And then the fourth dimension of this behavior life use evaluation model, I should say, is behavior temperament. That means you have to have self-control. And when you have self-control, it connects with your tolerance and understanding. These are bridge builders and connectors. And then you have to have the right temperament, the right attitude. And that connects with confidence and respect. Yes. Behavior temperament. Patterns of behavior or manipulation. Yes. Because we develop patterns of behavior of manipulation, and we do it not with so good intentions, you know. Because maybe we have been manipulated, so now we feel as though that we have been manipulated, and maybe we have been manipulated so long, and maybe we have learned how other people have manipulated us, so therefore we may be manipulating people that we don't even know that's what we're doing. Ain't that some shit, man? You don't even know that you're doing it. Man, that's a serious diagnosis. They got to be a serious person to diagnose that to see that. You got to have some serious discernment. I think this brother got that type of discernment there. Yes. So then we got the assessment focus. Now we deal with avoidance inconsistency. You know, be consistent, man. Don't be inconsistent. That's a challenge with that. You know, 1 minute you're around somebody, you're acting different. Then somebody else come around, you're acting different toward that. Come on, man. What you got to stop putting on airs, man? Just because that person has a position of authority and title, you know, you boot-licking, buck dancing, bojangling around him. And then we got to deal with exaggeration and realism. Exaggeration. There's no such thing as Superman. There's no such thing as Superwoman. These are fictitious what? Characters. They elaborately construct something. And that's how it is sometimes when we out there, we have this reputation that we want to elaborately construct to be something that we what? That we're not. Right? Come on, man. Enough is enough. And then we deal with the fifth dimension is social purpose. Yes, I said society is a sociological structure with that inclusion and exclusion. That's a dangerous thing when the sheep saw the wolf. And the sheep say, listen, man, we both species, but I don't see no difference in us, man. I mean, you know, we animals or we species, whatever. But the sheep said, I don't see no difference, man. Come on, let's work this out. This is what the sheep said to the wolf. What do you think the wolf said? That wolf tore his ass up, man. Huh? So that means that was a natural enemy. So what is the natural enemy of us? The natural enemy as human beings is that we are unable to control our instinct. Ain't that something? You should be able to control your what? Your instinct. Yeah, that leads to that, all that other stuff there. So yeah, social purpose. For me, you always have an aim, goal, and a purpose. My aim is accountability. My goal is peace, and my purpose is civility, becoming complete civility. Social purpose, understanding the role of group and community. Understanding your role. You're going to be a supporting cast or a leading cast, or you're going to be the star. I don't know which one you're going to be. But understanding your role, that means understanding your character. And for me, the issue is character resolve. Group and community. And then next, we're dealing with the assessment focus is leadership, withdrawal, fear of engagement. Now, and this is where people run from accountability. They don't want to engage. Because when they run from accountability, they don't want to engage. It puts them in a position where they can act irresponsible. And you could be selling somebody short who needs your help. Huh? Fear of engagement. I've learned there's 3 types of fears: intellectual fear, emotional fear, and physical fear. So engage. But the deal is that a lot of times in marriage, we get engaged, don't we, man? For the marriage. Why not get engaged with who? Yourself. Huh? Love yourself. Love the whole you. Love the little knot on your nose. Huh, man? Love the little mole on your face. Huh, man? Huh? Yeah, man. Love as much as you can about who? About yourself. And then the final dimension, then we're going to move on, is the spiritual position. Oh, that's a good one there. For me, anything in its natural form, a natural state is spiritual. The spiritual position. How are you posturing yourself? How you carry yourself? How you think of yourself? How you treat yourself? And what you would do for yourself. Amen. What is your spiritual position? Huh? I know there's only one position that I like, is the position of respect. Huh? You know how it is. When somebody was out there doing what they was doing, they had a little money, and people were respected because of their money. Do you want some people to respect you because of what you have what you have obtained? Or you want some people to respect you for who? Self. Respect me for who you are, for me. Respect me for me. Amen. This is what we're talking about. And respect in the Latin sense is to look at the ability of a person and accept him or her as they are. The moral, spiritual principles that guide your behavior. I always like to say the morale principle that guide. What guides your behavior? Huh? Because they say behavior don't lie, which means it don't lie what? It don't lie down. It's an action. What is we talk about your spiritual position, what is your moral, morale, spiritual principle that guides your behavior? Some who understand and teach the Kemet, they will call it ma'at, truth, justice, reciprocity, what are the other ones? Propriety, order, yeah, balance, yeah. These are principles. These are principles. Yes, balance, yeah. Now, in the assessment focus is where we are now. Accountability principles, value-based actions. What does that mean? That there must be principles that you value. And these principles that you value are based on the actions that you take. Huh? That makes sense to you? So now, as we all enter into this transformation zone, a question that I'm going to ask, and then Dr. Winkler is going to come in, is that how did addiction distort or eroded your identity?